Hi, I'm Luna. This is going to be a yummy, chill, restorative class. We'll try to touch all the bases, the whole body. And I would recommend 2 blocks or something of that sort. And I'd also recommend a strap or something of that sort. It could be like a towel or a scarf or something like that around whatever you can find in your house or wherever you are. Blocks, it could be like books, or it could be like blankets is fine, rolled up blankets, something that will just find a little bit of space. And then we'll end up using these 2 blocks in the beginning of the practice. So have them nearby, lay onto your front body, and then you're gonna move your 2 blocks. I'd say either lowest height or middle height underneath your shoulder heads. So it's this kind of restorative little mini back bend. You don't want to be hugging the blocks with your arms like this. You want to be resting your shoulder head onto the block. So it's like this innermost corner of the block is like in your armpit area, and your shoulder head is just resting on the block. So your arms can be back behind you. Your hand could be wide too. But it's not about hugging the block and having our arm on it. It's just the shoulder head on it. So you'll sneak your blocks, or if it's a rolled up blanket, that's fine too, underneath each shoulder head. And then just soften your forehead to the floor. And hopefully you're feeling some space across your chest, a bit of a stretch in your shoulder heads and your shoulders. And it's okay to adjust yourself around a little bit until you're really there, right? Like I'm doing. But then once you do find a comfortable place, hang out in it. Forehead is melting to the floor. It might not touch the floor. That's fine. Just let it hang. So it kind of feels like your upper back is like a hammock. Your shoulder heads on the blocks are like the top edges of the hammock holding on to the tree or whatnot. And then the mid spine is like where your body is like sinking into the hammock towards the floor. And then just hang out here and give yourself a couple of long breaths. So each pose we're going to hold for a little while. And we're going to try to soften into it as much as we can. And the breath is really the key for that. And notice even here, as you inhale, as you deepen your inhale, your tailbone lengthens, your spine lengthens a little bit more. As you exhale, notice you can maybe soften your chest towards the floor a little bit more, the middle chest, your head towards the floor a little bit more. And then you just continue like that. Every inhale, feel a sense of expanding in all directions, really. And then every exhale, a sense of softening a little bit more into it. A couple more long, deep, active breaths. And this is a nice counter pose to the hunching the body loves to do, right? The shoulders love rolling forward and down. This is creating space in your chest and your lungs, obviously finding a shoulder stretch to release that tension that we tend to hold on to in our shoulders. And then you can kind of bend the elbows if you haven't already. Press your hands down in order to lift the blocks, or yourself off of the blocks, and then move the blocks to the side. And then reach your arms wide like a T shape. Forehead to the floor. Keep your left arm straight to the left with your palm facing down. Bring your right finger pads, like pretty much right where your right shoulder head is on the ground. And just make sure, like look at your left wrist and really make sure it's like straight to the left. It's not up or down. It's straight to the left. And then you're going to slow motion press down through your right hand and roll yourself to the left side of your body. You could keep your legs straight. You can also bend your knees, and actually I like that variation because it's a little bit more chill. You don't have to bounce. You don't have to work at balancing yourself so much. And then we're hanging out here. You could have a little bit of weight on your right hand in order to stay in place, but maybe you can be pretty soft with your right arm. Either way is fine. And we're stretching into the left shoulder even more now. Couple more breaths. And then you'll straighten your legs if you bent the knees, and then roll back onto your front body. And then reach your right arm to the right, palm facing down. Your wrist is in alignment with your shoulder head. And then use your left finger pads on the floor to slowly push yourself so you're rolling onto the right side of your body. You can keep your legs straight. You can also bend your knees. And I should have said this on the opposite side. If your head, the right side of your face is kind of hanging, you could rest it onto a blanket, a block, a pillow, whatever you've got nearby, if that's more comfortable to you. Then again, left hand can be supportive, or maybe your arm is kind of chill. So in each pose, you can kind of choose how active you want to be into stretching deeper into it, or more passive and just kind of softening and letting go into it. In each pose, maybe you close your eyes once you get the hang of it. And that really helps to calm the nerves even more and soften the physical tension we hold on to. We hold a lot of stress in our shoulders. Cool. Come back onto your front body, straightening your legs. Okay, and then go ahead and bend your left knee to the left and have your ankle in alignment with your knee. Like a little half froggy situation. And then just hang here for a moment, feeling the inner left thigh lengthen a little bit more. Feel the outer left hip kind of ground down towards the floor. And then you're going to thread your right arm underneath your left. And then you can use your left hand as leverage to revolve your chest open to the ceiling. And your left knee will probably kind of move along for the ride. That's fine, but it's still moving towards the floor. And then we're rolling ourselves into a twist. It's just kind of a different way of getting into the twist that you might normally be used to if you practice yoga regularly. And it encourages the same kind of stretch that we've been exploring across the chest. And now we're getting into a twist. Some of you might want to bring your right hand on top of your left knee for a little bit more weight to dive deeper into the twist, and maybe you don't do that. You can also look over to the left so that you get a bit of a spinal twist all the way into your neck. And then you'll slowly come back onto your front body. So reach your left arm to the left. You can push it down to lift your right arm from underneath you. And then straighten your left leg behind you. Switching. Bend the right knee to the right. And have the knee right in alignment with your hip and your heel right in alignment with your knee. And then just hang out. Maybe sometimes you guys sleep like this. I do sometimes with a pillow. It's a nice way to release the hip, lengthen the inner thigh. And then thread your left arm underneath your right. And then slow motion, you're going to roll over towards your back body. The right knee might go along for the ride a little. And then again, you want the right knee in alignment with your hip. So kind of figure that out. Reach your right arm to the right with your palm facing up. And then we're hanging out here, maybe left hand on top of your right knee for more weight, maybe not. Gaze over towards the right wall so you've got a little bit of a twist in your neck. Couple of breaths here. Twists are so beneficial for the spine. Creating space. They're also detoxifying for our internal organs. You'll slowly come back through center. Right arm to the right. You kind of press it down to lift your left arm from underneath you, and then straighten your right leg back behind you. And then bring your hands next to your low rib cage with your palms on the floor. And then inhale, push back into tabletop position. Move your knees a little bit wider than hip distance apart. Bring your feet to touch one another. And then work your hips down onto your heels. And then your forehead to the floor. So child's pose, extended child's pose. Your forehead does not have to touch the floor, but it is going in that direction. You could even rest it onto a block or a rolled up blanket if that's more comfortable, a pillow if that's more comfortable to you. And then we're just hanging out here for a couple of long breaths, breathing into the low back and the outer hips. So the hips are heavy to the heels in that direction. They don't have to touch, but they're going in that direction. And your head is heavy towards the floor. Couple more deep breaths here. Really do try to breathe deeply and notice how that helps you find more space in your body. So you're just going to come up a little bit and then thread your right arm underneath your left, kind of like we did earlier. But this time we're just going to come down onto the right ear. And again, your head could be, the right side of the face could be on a block or a pillow or a blanket. And then we're hanging out here. And again, you could be active by reaching your left hand forward and stretching the left side of the body, but you can also be passive and just chill out and not have to work right now. And then bend your left elbow, press your left hand down to lift yourself up. Walk your hands forward a little, and then thread your left arm underneath your right. Really get it underneath you. Reach to the right wall. Then lower down onto your left shoulder and the left side of your face. Maybe you're active, reaching your right fingertips forward and straightening your left arm. Maybe you're passive and you're just chilling out. Again, your left side of the face can definitely be resting onto something if that's more comfortable to you. So now moving the shoulders in the opposite direction. We did a lot of opening the front body, and we're opening the back body a little bit more. One more big breath here. Bend the right elbow, press your right hand down, lift you onto your left hand, and then you're going to just roll yourself up to sitting and swivel your legs forward in space. You can drag your blocks back, have your strap nearby, and then you're going to roll onto your back. Oh, and then once you roll onto your back, we're going to do a cross-legged situation. So your right shin in front of your left shin, like you're literally in cross legs sitting down, but lying down. So right shin in front of your left shin, and try to pretty much cross at the middle of your shins. And if this feels really intense, you can bring blocks or blankets or whatever you've got underneath your outer knees for a little bit of support, right? And any height at all. And then we're hanging out here in a cross-legged supine pose. Supine just means on your back. Hopefully you're feeling a stretch in the outer hips. That's what we want. Couple more breaths here using blocks or not, you choose, but you do want to choose something that you can actually be comfortable enough in to actually be in it and breathe into it and soften into it. So you're going to keep your right shin on top of your left shin as you straighten your legs. Right shin on top of your left shin. Maybe it's like more like ankle on top of ankle, right? Ankle on top of your left ankle. And then you're going to move your feet to the left 3, 4, 5 inches, however much you'd like. And then you're going to bring your hands behind your head. You can interlace the fingers or not. I actually think not interlacing is more comfortable to me. And then you're going to reach your right elbow back, like above your head to the back of the room behind you. Your left elbow more like towards your left hip. Right elbow up, left elbow down. And then you're just going to hang out here once you find your shape. And you're hopefully feeling a stretch across the right side of your body. So we turn into this kind of like banana shape. Again, you can choose kind of what's going on with your hands. I actually like my right palm is underneath my head. My left hand is just kind of around that area, so that my head is actually a weight for my right hand to keep my right elbow in place. So I don't really have to work at it. Okay, so come back to center with your head and your arms. You can release the head down and then come back, and you can actually just release your legs for a moment and bend the knees and bring the soles of your feet to the floor. Give yourself just a moment in this kind of neutral place. And then cross your left shin in front of your right shin. And then allow the knees to open to the side. Maybe blocks underneath your outer thighs or outer hips at any height at all, or blankets or whatever you've got, right? For a little bit of support so that, you're not in this like really intense stretch, but you do feel a soft stretch where you can just soften and let go into it. Breathing into the hips. We also store a lot of stress and even emotions in our hips. So it's really nice to touch base, to give them a moment to let go. Also, as we open the hips, we find more space along the spine, especially in the low back. So when we sit a lot, the hips get tight, which pulls onto the low back. Last breath or so here in your hip stretch. Okay, and then keep the crossing of the shins. So your left shin is on top of the right shin as you straighten your legs in front of you. And then move your legs to the right, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches to the right. You kind of choose that. And then bring the hands behind the head. And then work your left elbow up and your right elbow down. So right elbow towards the right hip, left elbow away from your left hip. And then you kind of figure out what's comfortable enough with your hands. And then we're hanging out here in the side body stretch. So you could be active, flexing through your feet and really reaching through your left heel, but you can also be passive and you're just chilling out. It's like we're just lounging on the beach. In a weird side body stretch lounge. All right. Release the arms, the hands, move the head back to the center. Release your legs. Bend your knees. Just bring the soles of your feet to the floor for a moment. And then you're going to grab hold of your strap. Now, it would be fantastic if you had a strap that had a really big loop like this. And if you don't, no worries at all. I'm going to give you a couple of options. If you've got a strap that has a loop, a large loop, then you're going to bring the strap around your foot with that loop, and then bring the loop onto your head, like right above the ears, right in the back of your head. If you don't have a strap thing like this, no worries. You can instead wrap a towel around your right foot and you're holding it with your right hand. Okay, so either one, holding it, or if you've got this strap situation, we don't have to use our arms. The head is just this kind of leverage, this pulley to hold the right foot in place. You can keep your left knee bent, or you can straighten your left leg forward in space. And then we're here giving our neck a little bit of a stretch if you're in this variation, and your hamstrings, the back of the right leg, a bit of a stretch. Again, try to soften into it. If you've got the holding on to the strap or your towel with your hand, then try to keep your shoulders and your head grounded actually on the floor, so you don't have to use any muscles in your neck or your shoulders. So we're trying to soften as much as we can in this shape. And then you're just going to open your right leg to the right. Allow your gaze to kind of roll over to the right more, right? And the right toes will kind of open over to the right. And then we're going to be here for a couple of breaths. So you're getting more of a stretch in the left neck if you're in that variation. And then we're all getting the inner right thigh stretch. Little flexion of your left foot happening just so that the left side of the body can be a grounding sense for the rest of your body to stretch a little deeper. Okay, and then slowly come back through center. Real slow. Then move your right leg over to the left, just a couple of inches. It's not really a twist. It's more, hopefully you're getting an experience in the outer right leg, the IT band. So now the gaze can be to the left if you've got the neck situation happening. Right foot to the left, and then we're hanging out here. As you move the right leg to the left, feel an energetic wrapping of your outer right hip forward. That should help you find a deeper stretch in the IT band. Okay, inhale, lift the right foot back up. And then exhale, bring your left foot in the strap. And then lower your right foot down onto the floor. You might need to adjust a little bit if you've got the neck situation happening. And then right knee can be bent if that feels more comfortable to you, or right leg can be straight. And then we're hanging out here for a couple of long breaths. Trying to chill out in it as much as possible. Letting go of the neck. If you're in that, definitely letting go of the back of your left leg. And the left leg does not have to be totally straight, especially if you live in a more stiff and sturdy body. You can have a bend of the knee. That's totally fine. You're just moving it in that direction. Okay, and then move your left leg to the left, a couple of inches. So it's not a very large movement, very small movement actually. Gaze over to the left a little bit, like your head is following your knee. We're hanging out here, literally. Breathing into the inseam of the left leg. Right leg is a little strong right now to support, so we're not like falling over to the left. And then come back through center, and then move your left leg to the right. Maybe just a couple of inches. And then we're hanging out here. There might be a little bend of the left knee. That's fine. Feel the wrapping of your outer left hip forward just energetically, and that'll really help get into the stretch of the outer left leg, the left side of your body a little bit more. Try to soften your head and your neck in whatever variation you're in. One more breath. Try to breathe into the outer left hip, the left leg, the left side of your waist. And then come back through center. And then bring your right foot in the strap. So either you're holding onto the strap with both hands, or you've got the head thing happening still. And then we're just hanging out here. Find a little flexion of your feet. So we're doing a bit of an active stretch in the back of the body. Moving your legs towards straight, letting the head be soft in either variation. Forward folds are cooling and calming on the nervous system. Really, all these restorative poses are, because we're more chill. And it's great to stretch into the back body, which tends to get tight when we sit a lot. And then go ahead and slowly release. Move the strap to the side. Release your legs down onto the mat. And I would actually recommend bringing your blocks at their lowest height underneath your calves like this. So your blocks are mimicking your calves. It just ends up bending the knees a little bit and giving you a little bit more space in your low back. And then reach your arms on either side of you with your palms facing up. Your feet are displaying wide. And then go ahead and give yourself one last deep inhale. Open your mouth as you exhale. And then can you soften completely? Physically let go, energetically ground yourself. Let yourself feel grounded. Mentally, give yourself a moment of peace and stillness in your head, purposely choosing not to think about anything at all. Just being in the moment, taking in the practice. You can stay here in Shavasana in your final resting pose as long as you'd like, as long as it feels good for you. Thank you for practicing. Namaste.